How much of that bipartisan support, especially when one of those parties is really about as close to authoritarian party, the really conservative, right-wing, far out there? How much of that wavering, that coming to the center in terms of the reefer madness aspect of it, if they have changed their mind to the extent that they have changed it, how much of that is related to things happening really close to home, family members, kids, siblings, parents?
Yeah, that may be the case. I personally haven't really seen many of those politicians coming forward and giving personal stories regarding why their mind was changed with regards to marijuana legalization because of a family member or friend. What I'm seeing more and more is that the reason that many Republicans would sign on to marijuana legalization, and this is something that has historically over the course of the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, has been more of on the liberal side and the Democrat side as far as marijuana legalization support goes. But the reason why we're seeing more and more Republicans sign on to it is, one, because of the economics of it, and two, Republicans historically have been in favor of a smaller government with less control over the people and states' rights. And this issue that we're seeing right now, it has to do with smaller government and a government, whether your government can tell individuals what they can do with their own bodies and what they can put into their own bodies and how they can medicate. And so I think that's part of it. Then the other part of it is it's just the fact that states' rights has historically been a largely Republican issue. And if you have states that are passing these laws and the majority of the people want to see these laws in place, then the federal government shouldn't be the authority to come in and tell them they can't do that.
How long have you been representing these cases?
I left the district attorney's office in San Diego at the end of 2007. So since the beginning of 2008, I've been representing defendants on drug and marijuana related charges. So it's been about 7 years now.
You left there biting your lip, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So how many cases have you racked up in that time?
Over the course of the last 7 years or so, I'd say it's definitely in the hundreds.
And the outcomes all across the board?
Yeah, all across the board. I've been in this long enough to know that there are certain cases that are worth fighting, and there are certain cases that need to be settled, essentially for the benefit of the client. If for whatever reason it's not a good case, or the client has wandered outside of what I believe are the protections of California medical marijuana laws, they stand a chance of a much greater punishment if they decide to fight the case and lose. So if we see a certain set of facts that we believe wouldn't be a good case to fight, or a good case for a trial, then what we try to do is, and as long as the client's on board with it, is we try to work out the best plea agreement possible so as to keep the client out of custody and to have as minimal of an adverse effect on their record as possible.
And their family status and employment status and everything, I'm sure, figures into.
It does, absolutely, especially if they have a job or a particular type of license that would be adversely affected by a conviction, or if we have a client who's not a U.S. citizen, we have to take that into account when structuring a plea agreement.